how do you set up your money, especially if it's a second marriage?
A great question. Hey, listen, I'll tell you what we found in the research. And truly, I mean, the Thriving in Love and Money book, this is there's a whole chapter on this, because it is so tempting, especially for us when we're kind of strong, kind of opinionated, maybe semi-independent minded women. It is really easy in a second relationship, especially, but people do this in the first marriage as well, to kind of try to protect yourself and have like, this is my money over here and this is your money over here. And hey, send me the money that I need for the utilities, or I'll send you the money for half the mortgage or whatever, right? It's very easy to say, I'm going to protect myself and set up money separately. And yet, what we found statistically is that is actually likely to create some of the problems in the relationship you're trying to protect yourself from. It's actually going to create and build a bit of a wall because there's a lack of trust there. And that wall and that lack of trust ends up probably going higher rather than lower, because you can tell you don't quite trust each other. And that actually can bring down the relationship, as opposed to what feels more risky, but is actually safer, much safer statistically. Whereas you say, you know what, this is marriage. I'm going to say that we have no eject button. I'm going to drop all my barriers. I'm going to be at risk, so to speak. That's what it feels like, to open up completely to this other person and open myself up and choose to trust you. And the vast majority of relationships, that is the winning strategy, not the most risky one, because there's only a tiny, tiny percentage we found of relationships where there's not goodwill and there's a reason for a lack of trust. That happens sometimes, but it's very small compared to the likelihood that you'll actually hurt your relationship by withholding yourself and your money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of that whole concept that we were talking about earlier about being actually like fully committed, right? Like actually
Yeah,
being committed, and how
correct.
much you can kind of solve and figure out and get through if you're both fully committed to this and you're really in it. You don't have one foot out the door, waiting for something to happen. So you're like, oh, I knew it. I knew that this was going to happen. Now I'm going to run, right? And instead, actually being there in it and like fully committing to it and having real
Yeah,
conversations. And it's amazing. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing what you can overcome when you're both really committed and fully committed.
absolutely. Well, we actually found that was one of the studies. Like I said, we did the studies of the happiest marriages. What was it that the happiest couples were doing differently than anybody else? And one of the things we found is that they went into marriage, whether it was a remarriage or a first marriage, they went into it saying, this is for life. There is no eject button. Because that, if there is kind of even that option, it's easier to view it as an option, as opposed to, well, we have no choice but to figure out how to make this work. And I don't want to be miserable for the rest of my life. So let's figure out how to make it work. And once you do that, it's astounding how much both people end up getting creative, and they kind of go, okay, I've got to work on myself. And we actually found, by the way, that mindset, it actually works to really create a wonderful marriage, even if only one person starts out with that mindset, believe it or not.
Nice. That's awesome. So there's an assessment over on your website there.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about what this assessment is?
Yeah, the assessment at thriveinloveandmoney.com is just, it's this assessment that we built based on our research. It's a very simple assessment. It probably takes 5 minutes. And it's sneaky how simple it is, because it was based on this 3-year research project where we were pulling out the ability to help somebody understand, where am I starting in love and money? Like, where are the things that are already good and strength, and where are the things that we really need to work on that we may not even have recognized were issues about like communication, for example, or about kind of some of those different values that we sometimes have, and we don't really realize that that's what's getting in the way when it comes to money. And again, this is about money and relationships. Some of the other stuff that we've been covering that's a different assessment about different books. But when it comes to these matters, what is it that is going to really make the biggest difference if I recognize, I do need to work on that? And so that's what the assessment is designed to dig out very quickly.
Awesome.